875 KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your Total Sports Station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. So is producer Ben. Hey, what do you know? Eli Drinkwitz talked a lot about job speculation.
Yep.
And Fortune 500 companies.
Yep.
And NIL. And, well, Beau Pribula, too.
Not as much as I was pretty hopeful about the Beau stuff, and now I'm like, I don't know if it's going to happen this week. But yeah, we got a lot of newsy topics to get into from Drink today. For sure.
His press conference had a lot of things to discuss, so we'll get into that here in a few minutes. We will talk about Mizzou men's basketball's win last night. Dennis Gates did update on some injury notes that we have been wondering about with their team. So at 5:25, we'll talk about that. NFL Good, Bad, Ugly, Week 11. We'll give ours at 5:05. We hope you give us yours, too. 573-875-KTGR is how you call or text us. We also have the injury expert, Will Carroll, and Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling joining us today. Lots on the show. So chime in yourself and be a part of the fun. You can also see us live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. Subscribe if you don't already. We're also live on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
In his opening statement in the press conference this afternoon, Eli Drinkwitz did not comment on any specific rumors that were out there, did deny some rumors, such as ones that maybe he talked to the team saying he was taking another job, said that was not true, but did talk a lot about the comments that he made to the pre-production folks at ESPN before this weekend's game when it came to the support that the program gets, NIL, and saying that there could be a little bit more from those companies. And we shall see what that means for the coaching carousel going forward. He also said that Beau Pribula was working through the protocol still for his rehab after suffering a dislocated ankle, did not say whether or not what his status would be until the SEC availability reports come out starting tomorrow night. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 18th day of November 2025. You can call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. Here was specifically how Eli Drinkwitz addressed the elephant in the room. Because look, it's starting to ramp up. It's not just here either. It's in a lot of different places. It's ramping up at Ole Miss. It's ramping up at Arizona State. It's ramping up at a lot of places where these the coaching prospects essentially are being talked about. And so Eli Drinkwitz decided to include it in his opening statements addressing those job rumors.
You know, I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. You know, last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week, it's a different story because we scored the second most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, all of this stuff is just a distraction. You know, I would like to remind everybody, including our fans, we absolutely love Mizzou. We love what we're building. We've been to 6 straight bowl games. We've got the sellout streak going. Our administration has been nothing but phenomenal to me. The alignment that we have with our President Choi, his support for our program, his support in what we're trying to build. Todd Graves, the head of the Board of Curators, has been tremendous since he started on the board and is always looking for ways to improve our athletic department. Bob Blitz has been a guy that was instrumental in rebuilding the North End Zone and being on the forefront of the athletics committee. Laird Beach has been great to work with on a day-to-day basis. Since I've been here, I've signed multiple extensions. In fact, I signed one this past summer. So all the speculation is really a tribute to them, and it's a tribute to our team's success and their commitment to our team. And that's where my focus is going to remain on our team and our current situation And I'm not going to get into all that stuff because, again, it's just a distraction.
So lots of words there that he decided to include before being asked other questions, which we will get to his response.
Or being asked about that, right?
Yeah,
By
exactly.
doing it at the beginning, you get to set the narrative and you get to state what you want to state about it and kind of set the tone of don't ask me about it because I just told you kind of what I think about it. So again, well done. I mean, that's not a surprise to see him handle it that way. Because like I said yesterday, he knew that this topic was coming, whether he brought it up himself or somebody else did it for him.
And he said something similar a few weeks ago saying, hey, because my name is out there, hey, that's just great for Mizzou. That's a testament to what Mizzou has done and all that. And it's kind of the same thing. A lot of what these coaches that are being talked about, it follows a similar playbook of give credit to anybody but yourself, deny everything that might be a rumor out there that's not true. And look, whether it's true or not,
I don't think be true,
or the things that might be true,
it all.
which I don't think it matters. Like nothing concrete is going to be known, and nothing concrete actually matters until after the season. And so fine, if you want to deny it. Like that's okay. The magic words don't get said though, and that is, I'm staying. And so that's what we wait for.
Yeah, or the announcement that there's an extension. Yeah, I just signed an extension this summer. It's very good deflection from the relevant topic. Nobody cares that you signed an extension in the summer. That's not what's relevant here, because if you don't sign one now, we know what that implies. We know what that means. That at a minimum, he'll be listening and he'll be maybe meeting with teams. And if he gets an offer from one that Andy can support the NIL whims that he holds, which I'm not saying he's wrong for wanting it to be that way. Heck, I love that Drink is the coach because I think he's one of the very few in the industry that might be compelling enough as a recruiter, not just for players, but like businesses. He's just a very captivating personality, and he can build those relationships and compel more of that money to come in for NIL. He's already done it here. Like, look at a lot of the transformative things that he has had a hand in or been centrally responsible for, whether you think about the stadium renovations or the NIL laws that put, the state of Missouri on, we were ahead of the game for a couple of years. And I think we've reaped the benefits of that, right? Like we've seen that Mizzou for a little while, maybe even as Drink talked about today, there was a misconception, Andy, that Mizzou is at the very tip top of the NIL game, when in reality, he said we do a good job, but there are schools that we play against that have, that are doing more than we're doing. And I think maybe part of the reason for that, and I've said it myself, that Mizzou has done a great job with NIL, but I think part of the reason for that is they were kind of ahead of the curve and found the windows of opportunity where they existed and maybe forged those windows of opportunity. And now like the landscape continues to change, and the new situation is this NIL Go is going to probably be more favorable toward those big national corporations that they, what's NIL Go going to do? Say that this multi-billion-dollar business doesn't have a legit spokesman relationship with the player. Like, those are going to be the company. Like, Drink gets it. He understands that those are going to be the companies that NIL Go is just going to, we're going to pass those through. That's legit. That's legit NIL. You got to have those types of relationships. And so that's why the Fortune 500 stuff comes up. Drink is extremely intelligent, and he sees the landscape, I would argue, as well as anyone in the country. He sees the landscape for what it is and the nuances of it, of where it's been, where it is now, and where it could be going. I think he's an extremely intelligent guy. And so he's basically kind of feels like he's dragging everyone around him, kicking and screaming, to try to make wherever he's going to be the best and the pinnacle of the sport. And right now he's here, and I would love for him to stay here, but this NIL thing keeps coming up, Andy, and I think it's coming up for a reason, because we're 2 weeks away from this thing all coming to a head, and I don't necessarily know that all of a sudden we're going to get this influx on the scale that he's talking about when it comes to getting that new money in. So, like, if that sounds like a pessimistic viewpoint, that's because it is. I'm just telling you, I'm reading the tea leaves for what I think that they are based on the things that he's saying.
I don't think it takes too much reading of the tea leaves to know what is most important to him now with what destination he wants to go to. It is
credit to Tom Hart, by the way, because none of this happens if he doesn't go, what does it take?
Yeah.
Your name's out there. You know that. What does it take? what is it
more
that
money
you're
for
looking
you
for?
or more money
he
for
said,
just everything? And when
he
he
said,
got
I
the
got
answer
the
to that.
money.
Yeah.
I got the money, but
Yeah.
it's about getting that collective effort from the community in the state of Missouri. He talks about there being pride in it being the flagship institution, and kind of saying like the way it's going to work at some of these places around the country is having that level of support. He gets it. He totally understands that that's what it's going to take. My concern is that, we've been enjoying, although we haven't broken through to make a college football playoff in the last few years, but we've been benefiting from his ability to kind of instigate and be ahead of the curve on some of these things. And he led this effort to get Mizzou to where it is right now. But now we're about to go through another cycle where it's like, okay, the initial push has happened. Does Missouri stay committed to NIL and all revenue sharing and all those things on the same level? Or is there kind of that fatigue of, well, we did it for a few years? When I say we, I'm talking about the money people, the corporations, the donors, the people.
Yeah.
Well, we did it for a couple of years and it was cool. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't make a playoff. And now I'm kind of like that is where I feel like things could be right now. And if that is the case, you will see Eli Drinkwitz in another job in 2 weeks. Flat out simple. That's what's going to happen as long as he's offered one. And I am increasingly of the belief that he will be offered one.
Yeah, it is increasingly clear what's most important to him too. And he talked about how important that NIL support is.
You want better results? You got to get better players, and we got great players right now, but you can always use more. And in order to keep the current players that we have, I saw on Twitter somebody said we got to keep Donovan and Matt. Well, that's wishful thinking. You got to offer them the same amount of money that other people are, and that's the reality. I mean, there's teams that we're playing with, larger NIL budgets than we have. Doesn't mean that we're not doing the absolute best we can. Doesn't mean that we haven't put together a really, really good football team, and there's a lot of people helping us, but more is still more. And until there's a cap on it, I mean, don't we want every advantage that we can possibly get? So, again, not complaining, not pointing out issues, just pointing out what the playing field is that we're in. There's teams that have unlimited support as far as NIL goes, and we want to beat those teams. I've been told I can't beat those teams, so
there you go.
You could beat Vanderbilt. You could have beat them. I would have appreciated that.
Oh,
but again, if you beat Vanderbilt, who is not one of those teams, by the way,
right.
If you beat Vanderbilt, you're playing for a CFP bid this Saturday. It was possible here, Drink. We lost a couple of those close games, and that's football, dude. I'm not saying, and he's taken a little bit too much of it to heart, and he always does this. He always gets a little too wrapped up in the social media and the message board stuff. He talks about it every single week, and I wish he just wouldn't look at it. But to be as aware of everything going on as he is, to be effective in his role, he believes that it's something he needs to stay plugged into. So he is as plugged into it as any coach in the country, even though he consistently talks about blocking out the noise. There's a little bit of a dichotomy there, but I think it works for him largely because he is very much in tune with what's going on. I just think sometimes when people say after a loss to Texas A&M on Twitter or a message board, I don't care if he stays or goes, that's not, I don't think, representative of the whole fan base or of the entire Mizzou experience. But he can use that as fodder. He can use that as ammo in a press conference today and says, well, now you love me because we scored the second most points. No, we loved you last week. We love you this week. We know that this bigger conversation is coming, and it's uncomfortable because the more and more we talk about the NIL and the money of it all, the more we realize what the lay of the land might actually be here. And it doesn't favor Missouri in a coaching cycle that sees Penn State, Florida, LSU all open up, and I'll throw Auburn in there as well because he has that past history at that institution. So that's where the concern comes from. It's not that, yes, there is that aspect of wanting to break through the glass ceiling and win the big game, but I also think that there are a lot of Mizzou fans who are appreciative of the fact that Mizzou these last 3 years doesn't lose to anybody that's beneath us in the pecking order. That's unbelievable. That's really hard to do. Ask James Franklin how difficult that is to do. So there's a lot of value in what he brings. And I think for him to be so close in so many of those, Andy, I wonder if you get over the hump against Bama or Vandy this year, which you were so close to doing, does it change the landscape to more of that STP mentality that he has always carried? Does losing those games again and again and again get under his skin and say, I might just need to, the game shoots and ladders. I might need to have one of those special spots where I land on and I'm able to shoot right up toward the easy mode of this game that is college football. That's the concern, is that he gets a little bit down about, man, he knows that we were good enough to be able to win some of these games over the past couple of years. And the fact that we didn't get any of them, and that means we did fall short of the CFP for that little stint where the roster and the schedule and everything lined up. My concern is it is a perfect storm when you have the aspirations that he has to say, you know what, it's going to be easier to do this at Penn State because there's probably more consistency in the support up there in terms of the money that they'll be able to bring in. And that schedule is a joke compared to Mizzou's schedule the next 3 years. I think I knew it in my heart the day that they announced the 26 through 29 schedule, and you saw his reaction on Tiger Talk where he's like, yeah, that's a schedule.
That is.
I mean, there's just something about it, Andy, that screams, of all these openings, I still say the Penn State one is the one that if he gets offered that, there's no hope for Missouri. I just don't see how he would turn it down, because it's easy mode. I hope that's not what he wants to be. He's the STP guy, but I couldn't really fault him, as a neutral observer, which I'm not.
You're always going to model your saying based on the job that you have.
Oh, for sure. And he's a master marketer.
When he took this Mizzou job, Mizzou was like
down in the dumps.
Down in the dumps. Like it'd be generous to say that they're like a middle of the pack Power 4 team like that. But now they're vaulted up past the middle. You could maybe say that they're in the bottom of the bigger tier that you want to be in, but
who's in the tier? Who else is in the Mizzou tier?
Like they're not in the very top tier of college football. No. I would not say that.
Not currently, but who else? Give me some names of programs where you're like, that's kind of Mizzou-ish.
Oh, I'd say it's Iowa is in that tier.
Yeah.
I'd say Tennessee to a degree.
They won't like to hear that, but I think that's.
But I mean, like the playoff needed to expand for them to actually break through. So like, I kind of think it's similar.
What makes that, though, Andy? What makes the tier? Because I think if you're just looking at recent 5 years or so, you're like, well, yeah, Mizzou is on the upswing. But if they lose the coach that did it for them, I am not convinced. Like stadium renovations, facilities, those things still matter.
Yeah.
But I'm not wholly convinced. I kind of said the kicking and screaming. I think Drink is driving the ship on all this. So if he leaves, how much do I trust administration to keep the ball rolling and keep the momentum rolling in the way that they approach the next? Because again, it's different AD and everything, but This is the same kind of setup that had to almost be dragged kicking and screaming to hire Drink in the first place.
I'm not
Blake
too
Anderson
worried about
thing wasn't going to work out.
Right.
So
and look, that could be a whole separate thing. I mean, I don't know what the hiring process would look like if Mizzou does find themselves in that situation.
Hopefully it's John Sunvold again saying, here's what we need to do.
I don't know.
Because it worked out the last time.
Either way, it's looking like Laird Veach. I mean, everything Laird Veach has said football. I'm not worried about support on that aspect of it. That maybe it's not enough for Eli Drinkwitz, but it could be enough for another coach. We shall see. But it has to be something similar to what Eli Drinkwitz has done, because if you want to drum up more of that support, it may not just be about who's the best X's and O coach.
Yeah,
it might be about who's the best salesman, like who's able to run the program the best. Yeah,
he's the best salesman in the country.
Maybe.
Name a. I don't care about X's and O's for this. Name someone better at like getting the landscape the way Drink gets it.
I think Lane Kiffin does that pretty well. I mean, like he's
maybe on the same level,
right? Yeah, like he's done a pretty fine job for himself too, and he's going to do a very fine job for himself this offseason also. Like he's probably going to be the highest paid coach in the game when this
wherever he's at, including Ole Miss.
Yeah, they'll make him that, I'm sure, if they really want him. So like he's on that level, and look, Drinkwitz has evolved in that aspect. I think he came in wanting to be more of that X's and O's guy and having his footprint be there. And I'm not saying that hasn't happened. Like that clearly Mizzou has had a very good job running the football, and maybe 3 out of the last 5 years, they're going to have a guy break the single season rushing record at the school. Like that could happen again this year with Hardy. So like that clearly has made an impact. But the way that he evolved was, look, the landscape's changing. I got to get support so that I can have as many resources as possible at the school that maybe hasn't had that historically. But he's still saying now, hey, we're not up to snuff with those big dogs right now. And so that is probably going to be what he needs. Like, I don't think it's any more difficult to understand than that.
I don't either. Patty commented on our social media, Drink is under contract with Mizzou through 2029, and he has school-age kids and is happy in the Columbia community. I think everything that Patty mentions there is completely true, Andy, but I think this is kind of a fork in the road in the sport. It's like you said, this is happening around the country. I think Drink, because I'm crediting him for how much he understands the landscape and is very intelligent at knowing, it's exactly what you said. He might have wanted to be the X's and O's guy, but then he realized the path as a program builder and the ability to, do a little bit of both and a lot of bit maybe of both has led him to where he's at. And now that work has, as much as he wants to say it's a credit to Missouri, I think it's just not true. It's a credit to him because I think, like you said, Missouri was where it was in kind of the lower middle class of Power Four. And here we are a handful of years later. What's been the difference? I mean, yes, there have been ADs come and go and a lot of different things have changed, but you're kidding yourself, in my opinion, if you don't think Eli Drinkwitz has been spearheading a lot of the successful things that have happened here to try to get Mizzou onto that tier to stay. The problem is we're like a couple years away and one breakthrough, in my opinion, of Mizzou being able to really have that staying power, because if he leaves, you are going to hire another football coach. That coach might be another slam dunk hire. We don't know.
No idea.
I hope it's a young, energetic up and comer. I hope it's a G5 head coach, actually, if they hire someone, because I think that's the archetype that, yeah, it can go wrong like it did at Florida with Napier. But I feel like an offensive minded G5 head coach, kind of like Drink, it's okay to shoot fish in the barrel and hope that you can get the next drink if you're forced into that decision. I just don't know that the drinks are growing on trees. And the one that we have has said, here's what I need to be able to succeed. And there might be 4 schools in the next 2 weeks that are willing to offer him those things. And so this feels like such a fork in the road for Mizzou as an athletic program, because you're taking it to chance if the next person is going to be able to identify with the current climate, even 80% as well as Eli Drinkwitz does it. And none of this is about X's and O's, as you said. This is about the stuff that's bigger than that, which then once you get to that level, the X's and O's stuff starts to decide maybe, who rises above. But you gotta break into that tier first. And I feel like Mizzou's so close, but Drink's the guy that can get them there more than just like a 5 to 7 year bump. Because Tennessee, you mentioned it. I agree. Mizzou kind of in that Tennessee tier. Tennessee's always going to have the money and the support.
Yeah.
Their blips on the radar are going to be temporary. I hope that Mizzou's blip on the radar in the positive way now isn't also temporary, because this has been a lot of fun these last few years.
Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR with your thoughts on what Eli Drinkwitz said today. Do want to get to what he said about Beau Pribula, though, because he also included that in the opening statement. Wanted to get out in front of it as well. And here was what he included there.
Beau Pribula is currently working through his rehab process. And with the oversight of the doctors and the training staff, we're going through a protocol. He has been allowed to practice with certain limitations, which is why he appeared on the SEC availability report last week and why you saw him on Saturday in pregame warmup. We will see how he progresses this week, and you'll be updated on the SEC media report, or by apparently now Matt Zenitz or Pete Thamel's tweets.
Adding to the party.
Why is he acting so surprised?
Anyway, on all of that, he went into more detail on maybe the path that Beau Pribula is looking at to come back into play as well.
I think we'll probably huddle as a group and make a call. The very first thing and the most important thing is the student athlete's health and well-being. And playing against an elite defense, you don't want to put somebody out there who can't compete at the highest level. And knowing how aggressive and attacking they are, it would be a detriment to our team and to Beau, to put him out there if he's not able to play up to his level. And so, we'll circle with him first and make sure his mental processes are where it needs to be. And that's if he clears the protocol, which would be the doctors and the trainers circle with him. And then obviously he'll have to circle with his circle. So there'll be a lot of circles.
A lot of circles.
I was going to say there'll be a lot of circles, and then Drink said it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's are you optimistic based on all that, or is it like we can't read into any of it? Where do you stand?
I don't think we can read into much of it. He won't give any sort of inkling one way or the other, I'm sure. I would guess no, because
he left the door open.
But he left the door open.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah. So I think he even said later on, we don't have time to get to the clip, but he anticipates that it will be Matt Zowers starting. But if Beau Pribula proves to be healthy enough, he still declared that, look, Beau's our starter. If he's good to go, we play him. But again, it seems like I did maybe hear it as it's maybe a high bar to clear, but who knows? Maybe he's close to it. No idea.
Yeah, I was more optimistic yesterday.
Yeah.
Than I am now. Like, okay. I don't think you can read too much into it, but the notion that he said, anticipating that Matt would be the starter, but he did continue to say, if it changes,
right,
go to Twitter, which he says Twitter isn't real, but that's where we're going to find out. I don't know.
Well, he said Twitter, but then Gabe DeArmond interjected and said, well, what if Twitter's down like this morning? And then he said, well, then just listen for McAfee and Lane Kiffin on there. So.
Awesome. I'm glad that, by the way, that he still calls it Twitter.
Yes, that's good. Well, he's called it both before, but he switches back and forth, official versus unofficial.
I appreciate the Twitter though of it all.
Yes. 875-5847. So we'll see what happens in the SEC availability reports this week, what it shows and what it could mean for Mizzou as they take on Oklahoma this weekend. How does the injury expert Will Carroll read into Beau Pribula's injury situation? We'll ask him when he joins us next. And he also talks about key Chiefs injuries and other quarterback injuries across the NFL here on The Big Show.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KTGR. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KTGR in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Well, the holidays are going to be here before you know it, and so will the family visits, the gatherings, and all the stress that comes with them. If your to-do list around the house still hasn't been touched, call Bax Homeworks. Their handyman service can take care of those little fixes, updates, and projects you've been putting off. Don't worry, you're not the only one. But that way, you can focus on what really matters. Relieve the stress now. Visit BaxHomeworks.com or find them on Facebook. Bax Homeworks. Getting your to-do list done.
The warm scent of maple spiced coffee fills the air. And is that a hint of Caribbean rum? That must be Caldy's Coffee Highlander Grog Brewing, our decadent maple spiced blend that's won fans nationwide. Loved for how it smells and for how it makes you feel. Each cup brings back the comfort of a classic coffee morning. Cozy, nostalgic, maple spiced coffee. Shop Caldy'sCoffee.com for your bag today. Also available in pods.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak. A bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guy, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho-hum. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
My name is Nick Rasmussen, and I used Phyllis Nichols to get my life insurance. So I really wanted to get a term policy that would cover us for the next 20 years. For some reason, something happened to me, knowing that my wife was going to be taken care of. Life insurance is a really tricky topic, and working with Phyllis, she talked about all the ins and the outs, what I was getting, why should I do whole life or term, all those different types of products that are out there can be incredibly confusing. Phyllis will sit down and go through all of those with you. I just know that she's always got my best interest at heart, and everybody in town should use her the next time they're getting a quote.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app with Andy and Brendan. And as we bring in now to talk all things football injuries, the injury expert Will Carroll here on the KTGR hotline. You can find him on Twitter at Injury Expert and subscribe to his newsletter undertheknife.substack.com to get great insights on Major League Baseball as the offseason hits here. But certainly football in full swing still and starting to get pretty important as we get into the month of November, Will. And for Mizzou, as they try to look to pull an upset this weekend against Oklahoma, which will be a tough task no matter who their quarterback is. But it appears, according to the reports, that there's optimism that Beau Pribula could return to the quarterback spot. And if he were to do that this weekend, that would be 4 weeks after he had a dislocated ankle against Vanderbilt. When you see the type of injury that Beau Pribula had and the usual recovery that we see for it, is it surprising to you that this quickly he could be back in action?
It's a little surprising, but what you have to understand is what a dislocation actually is. A dislocation is just a joint popping out of place. Now, I hope not everybody has done this, but I figure if anybody has had a dislocation, it's likely either a shoulder or a finger. And so let's talk about fingers. I don't know if either of you guys have ever had one. Either of you guys popped one out?
I haven't. No, Brendan?
No.
Okay, lucky guys, because it hurts. It hurts like crazy. But you pop it back in, and 99% of the time, you go right on keeping on. So it's the matter of what the soft tissue damage is. I mean, those ligaments, those tendons, everything around the joint is what you worry about. It's not supposed to move that way. So essentially, the dislocation is just coming out of place, and the doctors can quickly and fairly easily put it back in place. So the question becomes a soft tissue one. Your first question is always nerve, blood loss. Those things can be life-threatening. If there's not that, then you're dealing with potentially a minor sprain or strain. And if you came back from an ankle sprain in 3 weeks, nobody would be surprised. So that's essentially what the situation must be with Pribula. So, he's lucky in that it dislocated and didn't cause more damage than it did.
Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs, Will, Isaiah Pacheco, I just think back to the way that knee bent, and I guess I'm not surprised that he's been out for a few weeks. But what's the status on Pacheco and how soon the Chiefs might be able to get him back? Because, of course, they could use all the help they can get right now with they're currently sitting outside of the wild card spot in the AFC.
Exactly. It's hard to imagine with where the expectations were that this is where the Chiefs would find themselves, but here they are. Then again, we've also seen teams claw their way back in and make a run to the Super Bowl. Who knows? So we've got a situation with Pacheco where this is going to come down to function. The MCL wasn't completely torn. It was sprained, of course, which means tearing of the fiber. And so this comes back to function. The thing with the MCL is that, it's basically what keeps your knee from going in and touching your other knee. So think about that function. When is he going to cut and have that kind of move? Is he going to get hit from the outside? Yeah, he's going to get hit from the outside. So that knee has to be stable. If they can't brace it and make him comfortable, that's tough. The thing about Pacheco that I keep wondering is, if you took him and said, Isaiah, you can only run straight forward, no cuts, he could probably still be reasonably effective. I mean, that's not exactly his game. He's not the pure power rusher that we used to see playing fullback in the NFL. But I think this just flat comes down to function, and we'll get a very good look at it as early as Thursday.
We shall see. The injury expert Will Carroll here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. The Chiefs also will need as much health on the offensive line as possible. That appeared to take a hit this past weekend as Kingsley Suamataia came off the field at left guard with, he went into concussion protocol, but it just seemed after the hit he took that he needed a lot of help getting to the sideline. It didn't look great for him. What do you see as his status maybe going forward this week, Will?
Yeah, a lot of people are reading that as a severe concussion, and that's a misnomer. We don't know how serious a concussion is until afterwards. Even then, we don't know what the after effects are going to be. If you get stone cold knocked out, I've seen guys that get up and have zero symptoms whatsoever. They still go in the concussion protocol because they should. But there are lots of situations where headaches, bright lights don't bother them. So you just can't tell. For a situation like that, where, if you've ever gotten hit in the head, if you've ever walked into something, if you've ever had a concussion playing sports, or you may know that sort of thing. Concussions are sometimes symptomless. Sometimes you're knocked out. Sometimes you're woozy and look drunk. In this situation, he obviously had trouble with motor skills. We don't know what other symptoms he had, but that doesn't mean it's more serious. Severity comes down to how quickly do the symptoms go away or not. We're seeing that with C.J. Stroud down in Houston. Most players will come back within a week. He's still having fairly severe symptoms, probably out again this week. We hope that's not the case for Kingsley, just because that offensive line, that offensive line in Kansas City just hasn't been consistently together. And that's one of the things we know makes a line better.
Will, lots of quarterbacks dealing with various injuries right now, maybe none more concerning than Michael Penix, who's had multiple ACLs in his past and now is dealing with what looks to be a season-ending knee injury once again. What is his status, and how do you think the Falcons approach this? Because he hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire. Who knows about the future for this coaching staff? Kind of feels like tenuous times if you're Michael Penix in that Falcons organization.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guy I've seen for a long time. He played here in Indiana before he transferred. And he was here for a long time, largely because he had so many injuries. So he went back to his original surgeon, the one who did, I think, 2 ACLs on him. And if this is a third one, it's tough, but it's been long enough. One of the interesting things is the normal fix for ACL is you take part of the patellar tendon right there, cut a strip out, and then put that in place. But over the course of time, usually about 4 to 5 years, that tendon actually becomes ligament. Your body's constantly replacing cells. And in the space of 4 or 5 years, it's essentially, aside from not being natural and being locked in with some screws, that's functionally the same exact thing. So if you re-tear it, it's not like the world ends. You just have to do it again. The fact that he's going back to his original surgeon that knows his knee, that knows his rehab, isn't a great sign. And especially at his age, people forget, because of those ACLs, he came into the league older than most. And as he said, it's a rough situation down there in Atlanta.
Injury expert Will Carroll here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app, to a quarterback that's a little bit older, Aaron Rodgers, with the wrist injury that he suffered in the Steelers' last game. It seems that maybe he's trying to gut through it and be out there. It appears that it doesn't need surgery, but I just wonder, Will, how functional that'll be for a guy like him at his age.
I don't think the age will have anything to do with it. A broken bone is a broken bone. I don't think he's getting into osteoporosis yet. He's not that old. And obviously he's still in good enough shape to play NFL football. But the issue here is a lot of times wrist bones are very, very small. It's on his non-throwing hand, so that's something. But, sometimes they just take him out. It's easier. Sometimes they don't heal well. They're very small. So either you go in there and pin it back together, or you just yank it out. And the decision that they're not going to do anything is probably a football decision as much as anything. It is offhand. They're going to brace it. But here's the issue. He's going to fall down. And when he sticks his arm out, as he's going to, is it going to hurt more? How are they going to brace it? There's just no way to avoid the fact that an NFL quarterback is going to get knocked down in some weird way. I can remember, what was it, about a decade ago that he broke his collarbone because he fell. Yeah, he stuck his elbow out and all the force transferred to his collarbone, which snapped. In this case, it was his wrist bone. We don't know which exactly, and it doesn't really matter. Can he play through it? Yes, it's not really going to hurt. Does he have a high risk of hurting it again? Yes, but so what? It's already broken.
Yeah, there you go with that one. Will, I'm curious for your take on Josh Jacobs and how soon he could be back for the Packers. They could certainly use him for the stretch run, but dealing with a knee right now that seems to be a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, that's the question. They've been very, very, I don't want to say obfuscating about it, but they've given no details. It's kind of the opposite of what the Chiefs do. And the Packers have been like that. They had some fairly major changes in their medical staff a couple of years ago, and this just seems to be what the team wants. So we don't have any details on it. He was out. They ruled him out during the game. So there's obviously something going on. The guess his sprain. The one thing I go back to on Jacobs is he has had some bone bruises, which usually indicates some meniscus issues. I don't remember. I don't have all the data on whether he's had a meniscus issue before, whether he's had it removed. If so, he's more likely for that. I think that could be involved, that this knee just isn't as stable, so they have to be a little more careful with it. So there's just not enough information on this one yet to really know. The fact that he isn't heading out for surgery is at least a good sign. And the fact that Packers are playing pretty well, squeaking out that win, is a good sign if you're a Packers fan.
Will, what's new at Under the Knife?
Taking a hard look at catchers. This year is an interesting one with a catcher almost winning MVP, the one knee down, making catchers more durable because they're not taking as much force. But there's risk. One foul ball almost took Will Smith out of the World Series. He got back, and he was the hero. But you take a guy like Smith, you take a guy like Carroll. How valuable is it to keep them at catcher? Smith is there because Ohtani's just that good. They're not moving him off DH. Raleigh has options, so I take a really hard look at that this week.
Okay, interesting stuff. Go and check it out from Will Carroll at his newsletter, undertheknife.substack.com, to get all those insights on Major League Baseball as we hit a very interesting off season. Great to have him here on the Big Show KTGR. Thanks for coming on, Will. Hope you're well. Enjoy your week. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Big Show is on at 444 KTGR and the KTGR app. Would you be in favor of Cal Raleigh playing a different position, Brendan?
I don't know. I don't think you're going to be able to get much more out of him at the plate than what he gave you while he was still catching a good number of games. But longevity is obviously a concern when you're having that conversation. And I would say on a very scaled down version of that same conversation is the Cardinals really pushing Ivan Herrera to catch, reportedly, as they've said, again in 2026, where it's like, I don't know, he might be the best hitter in the organization. Do you really need him catching? Is that the best way to extract his value? Interesting scenarios there to consider.
So we'll be looking forward to that from Will Carroll in his Under the Knife newsletter this week. Onto the bus coming up next. Speaking of baseball, if you subscribe to MLB.tv historically, there's a change to where you will be viewing the games, it would appear, very soon. We'll get to that next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon, I'm Ben Hermas, and this live local sports center is brought to you by Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Tigers head football coach Eli Drinkwitz addressed the media today regarding rumors that he may be leaving Mizzou for another coaching job. Amid these rumors, Coach Drinkwitz has been wanting to eliminate distractions surrounding this discussion.
I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand.
The Tigers will be back in action when they go on the road to take on Oklahoma this Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on KTGR. Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy was named a semifinalist for the 2025 Doak Walker National Running Back Award earlier today. The Tigers' bell cow was one of 10 players to receive this honor, and it was announced by the PWC Athletic Forum. Hardy leads the nation in rushing yards, and he has rushed for over 100 yards 7 times this season. The 3 finalists for the award will be announced next Tuesday, November 25th. And Mizzou women's basketball returns to the hardwood tonight as they were set to host Southern Illinois. The Tigers sit at 3-1 on the season so far, with the Salukis at 1-1 on the season. Tip-off from Columbia is slated for 6:30. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is next.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a cooler night as we'll see increasing clouds. Temperatures drop down to about 44. Tomorrow, expect mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Getting into Thursday, showers start to move in from the south. Temperatures make it to the low to mid 60s. Rain becomes widespread Thursday night into Friday. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Did you miss the Mizzou play of the week?
2nd and 6 from the 28. Offset to the right is Hardy. Ball on the left hash. Hardy bounces it to the right side. Second level to the 40. Outside the right hash to midfield. To the 40 of Mississippi State. Foot race to the 20. To the 10. Angling back inside to the house. Touchdown Ahmad Hardy on an explosive run of 72.
The Mizzou play of the week is powered by Yingling. Your home for Mizzou football is KTGR.
On game day, every needs a. And every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal. And a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
This year, take a bite out of one holiday hassle and have your festive feast expertly prepared by Main Event Catering. The chefs of Courtyard by Marriott Columbia. Ready for pickup? You'll spend less time in the kitchen and more smiles with family. All the favorites: turkey, ham, prime rib, roast beef, even fried chicken and more. Plus, any of the side dishes and desserts your crew craves. Treat to your family with Main Event Catering. Order Holiday Magic today. 443-8000, 443-8000, and jingle all the way.
Hey, Lenny. George, good to see you. Yeah, well, it ain't so good to see you, pal. I wish you'd kept quiet all those years. Family Pawn's got all the hunting gear people need to do exactly that. Bows, scopes, ammo, everything. Doing what, George? Look at you, mounted on the wall for everybody to see. Not gonna lie, George. I sort of like hanging around. Their fireplace feels real nice.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
I want to go to Family Pawn.
It's that time of year again. Hit a deer, win a cow with FPP Body Shop. Listen, I'm not saying actively crash your vehicle into a deer, but if you do hit a deer, FPP will ease that stress with a $20 gift card to Fulton Worst House. And you'll be entered in to win the grand prize, a $500 gift card.
Man, I tell you what, winner last year had a cookout with every meat known to man. He all right?
Yeah, Billy. The winner will be popular again this year, too. With FPP, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPPBodyShop.com.
You're not the kind to make a nice little snow angel when the snow falls. You mark your territory in a different way. With a lemonade autograph. But when others tinkle their title in your business parking lot, you get peed off. Thanks a lot, Chad. Nice cursive work, though. Good for you, Tina. Tina? Wait a minute. Get rid of the snow graffiti with Crutch's Custom Exteriors commercial snow removal. Call Crutches and get a quote today. Seriously, though, Tina, that's impressive.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at APIProjectFitness.com.
Welcome to Macadoodles. Macadoodles does game day like nobody else. Whether you're tailgating or hosting a watch party, Macadoodles has you covered. With more than 3,200 wine labels, 1,500 spirits, and 600 craft and imported beers, and delivery right to your tailgate or doorstep, the days of making a beer run are over. Macadoodles delivers, providing unmatched selection at unbeatable prices. Drive through today or come inside and experience our world-class customer service. Who does game day like nobody else? Macadoodles does.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on The Big Show.
If you are a frequent user of MLB.TV, be advised, you might need the ESPN app now in order to get it starting next year. They came into an agreement, MLB and ESPN did, to essentially house MLB.TV within ESPN's new direct-to-consumer bundle, whatever it's called. They've done a bad job of branding this, but like
it's called ESPN Unlimited, if I'm not mistaken.
Sort of. Like at first they said ESPN, then they said ESPN DTC, then they said ESPN Unlimited. It's a lot.
And apparently it is limited because the whole deal with YouTube TV was supposed to be they're going to put this ESPN Unlimited, which I think is like $30 a month currently. They're going to install that within YouTube TV, and that was like part of the agreement that they came to. Except for the MLB part isn't going to be part of that, evidently. I don't know. It's a whole mess. But the main thing for me is I thought the MLB app, which housed MLB TV, actually worked pretty well. The ESPN app has historically had a lot of issues with just like working, not having glitches, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that is a big bummer to me because I'm assuming the MLB app, as it's currently known, won't in the future have games on it. It'll be on this ESPN Unlimited. That's my assumption based on this new agreement. And that would be unfortunate news.
Well, because you've had a bad experience, it appears, with the ESPN app.
Well, it's just, I mean, have you ever used it? It just doesn't.
I will say this, like, you say it doesn't work, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just, you are invited to my house anytime to watch ESPN games because I have had little to no issue with it.
You use the app itself on like your TV at home?
Yeah, I canceled YouTube TV, and now I've gone to that. Yeah,
I have had a number of the new one that's the most frustrating because it's always been Mizzou game will kick off and it won't show up on my main page until after the time has already started.
Yeah,
especially for basketball, you can miss the start of a game, which is like a minor inconvenience. But I would like to there should be pregame stuff. It's not very intuitive. It's based on okay, the game before it on SEC Network was going over, and so they don't know where to put it. Like after all these years, you'd think they'd have been able to figure that out. The new thing though is the ad breaks. You can now rewind and fast forward through, if you join late, you can rewatch some of what happened, which is nice. The problem is now, if you watch a basketball game and you don't stay on top of it and click the go live button at some point, you get to the 2 minutes to go in the second half, the game's already actually over. You'll be behind live time because the ad breaks are longer than what it actually is on the game itself. It's happened to me a number of times where football game, I'll click and instead of 7 minutes in the fourth quarter, it's 3.5 to go. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Right.
So it's just little inconveniences like that I didn't want invited into my MLB viewing experience.
Well, they have some time to fix those bugs, so hopefully that's the case. But I can understand skepticism as to whether it will actually happen.
But thanks for the invite. I appreciate that.
You are invited anytime.
Andy's my
seriously.
ESPN app works great.
I don't want to speak for every ESPN app. Like I'm going to honk the horn on your behalf, Brendan, because your ESPN app is not good apparently, and I know that you're frustrated about it, and you wanted to make sure that you honked the horn on it. But look, I can't really tell if it's because I keep it on. But I don't know how much attention I always pay to. I like the multi-view.
I'm locked in.
I like the multi-view on,
would be great.
On ESPN.
So do you have the unlimited? Do you have that? Okay.
I do.
Maybe I need to upgrade. I just have Plus. That's currently all I've got. So maybe that's why.
Gotcha.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
Ahmad Hardy has been named a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award. Goes out to the best running back in college football. So it's not watch list anymore. Like, he's actually up for it and could be a finalist, kind of like Cody Schrader was a couple of years ago. He's got a legit shot at this award. We'll see what his competition shapes up to be by the end of the season. But after the 300-yard performance, yeah, I'd say it's good timing to have him be announced as one of these.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. And, boy, wonder if it's wishful thinking to keep him around, too. Guess time will tell. Because I wish we could.
Yeah.
I'll wish for that. I'll wish upon that star because he is a star. He's a star and a stud and a horse riding fool as well. Because I saw there was some recent. I think I'll credit it. The Tiger Kickoff show. I think got a chance to see him riding his horses out there and kind of did a segment on that. But yeah, Ahmad Hardy is a stud. He is awesome.
So we'll see how the cuts go for that particular award and whether Ahmad Hardy makes the final one, but he is into the semifinalist phase, and maybe he creeps up on that Mizzou rushing record once again. All right, 5:05. Give us your NFL good, bad, and ugly from this past weekend of NFL games. Where do you put the Chiefs? You can't really say much good about them in that one. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Mizzou men's hoops getting it done last night and Eli Drinkwitz's, or not his update, Dennis Gates' update on some injuries for his team at 5:25.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Closed Mondays and Tuesdays. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
Some things just go together, like salt and pepper. And now, thanks to Lee's Tires, front-end alignments and new tires do too. Now through the end of the month. When you buy 4 new tires at Lee's, you'll get a front-end alignment for free. Buy 4 new tires, get a front-end alignment for free, only at Lee's. Salt and pepper, tires and alignments, and for almost 50 years, it's been Lee's Tires and their customers. Some things really do go better together. Offer good through the end of the month.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR is Sports Center.
I'm Nick DeLuca. College Hoops Champions Classic at MSG tonight. Coverage here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app underway for Kentucky and Michigan State, followed by Duke and Kansas with tip at 9 Eastern. Kansas freshman Darren Peterson will miss tonight's game with a hamstring injury. The projected number 1 pick in the NBA draft finished with 22 points in a loss to North Carolina back on November 7th in his most recent action. In the NBA, Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo will miss 1 to 2 weeks with a low-grade groin strain. Giannis left last night's loss to the Cavs in the first quarter, off to one of the best starts of his career, averaging just under 33 points on 63% shooting, 11 rebounds and 7 assists per game through his first dozen of the season. In the NFL, Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers dealing with a small fracture in his left wrist that will not require surgery. Head coach Mike Tomlin did not rule him out for Sunday's game against the Bears. Mason Rudolph potentially in line to start if Rodgers can't go.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Kennedy. Coming on Wednesday, the Chiefs are currently outside of the playoffs, so have they lost their aura, and can they get it back? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
From Faro,
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush,
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
and Arrowhead,
Touchdown! Kansas City.
to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
Well, the NFL week that was not particularly favorable to the Kansas City Chiefs, but they'll have to land somewhere in our recap of the good, the bad, and the ugly from week 11 across the National Football League. I don't think they're going to be in the good. Gotta say, would be surprised by that development. We'll get to all that in just a couple of minutes. You can text us with your good, bad, ugly from the week that was in the NFL by dialing up 573-875-KTGR on your cell phone. 525, we'll talk a little Mizzou men's basketball as, well, they got another win, and we got maybe somewhat of an update on some of the injured players from Dennis Gates. How soon could Anor Boateng, Trent Pierce, and Trent Burns return to the floor for the Tigers? We'll get into that at 525, and then we'll talk with Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling before we get out of here on today's show. That's all coming up, but first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Eli Drinkwitz had a lot to say when he addressed the job speculation swirling around the college football world, and namely around his name. And he wouldn't address any specific rumors, denied a lot of the rumors that have been out there recently on social media and the internet and whatnot. But I think he made it very clear as to what he's looking for, whether it's here at Mizzou or maybe even potentially somewhere else, but maybe more so in Mizzou's particular case. Like, he wants more NIL support, it would seem. Wants the Fortune 500 companies to buy in. That's an easier way to get the third-party NIL beefed up in your program. And so it'll come down to what Mizzou's willing to pony up more so than what they already are, what Eli Drinkwitz's threshold is, and see if those two meet. If so, Drink will stay. But if not, well, it leaves it all up to chance to where he might go elsewhere.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Eli Drinkwitz also updated on the status of Beau Pribula, who we saw warming up before the game against Mississippi State. He's been out with a dislocated ankle injury. Drinkwitz said that he's been cleared to practice with limitations and said not much else other than wait for the SEC availability report, wait for Pete Thamel, wait for Matt Zenitz, and other updates there. I don't know if it's been favorable to say all that as far as Beau Pribula's status for this week. I would still think that it's Matt Zowers, but hey, leaving the door open, there's always hope that it could be different.
Number 3.
Back on the coaching carousel, Lane Kiffin essentially denied the reporting that he was given an ultimatum by Ole Miss to say that they need clarity as to whether or not he's going to stay at Ole Miss and coach in the playoff or seek another job like LSU or Florida. And look, this is kind of the game now for coaches in Lane Kiffin's position. I think Eli Drinkwitz is in a similar one, and other coaches across the country. Deny the reports out there, whether they're true or not, and keep giving credit to anybody other than yourself, and we'll know something concrete after the season, so we're just waiting until then.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Good win from Mizzou men's basketball, comfortable against Prairie View A&M. They win by 18 points, and Dennis Gates' group remains unbeaten. Mizzou women's basketball takes on Southern Illinois as they try to shake off a loss against Kansas from the weekend. We'll see if Kelly Harper's group can get to 4-1. You can hear that on 100.5 FM KTGR tonight.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Slap!
And in the men's game last night, Nicholas Randall fouled out in 4 minutes. That's honestly impressive.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
573-875-KTGR to call or text us. He even fit in an assist and a couple of turnovers in that span of time, too. All in 4 minutes. That's Honestly, that's impressive, if you ask me.
All you can do is kind of laugh and shrug it off. Like, what are you going to do? You know?
I think Dennis Gates was also laughing as he was coming to the bench and all that. He's just saying, you know what, Prairie View, you're not getting any easy buckets, and I'm going to make sure you don't by any means necessary. And if it means I use all 5 of my fouls, so be it.
Yeah. Yeah, the ending of that game a little ugly, but we'll talk more about it. 5-25. It doesn't really matter. And they got the win, which is what you're supposed to do. So
it was a win. They went up by about 30, but then it ended up being 18. So that's why the KenPom kind of dipped a little bit, but whatever.
Who cares about KenPom anyway, right?
Net rankings haven't come out yet. That's what actually matters. So we'll see where they come out there. But we'll talk more Mizzou men's basketball at 5:25. Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on any of that. But let's get to this right here as the music is queued up once again. Good, bad, and ugly from Week 11 of the NFL. Tell us what you thought was good and bad and downright ugly at 573-875-KTGR. Yeah, look, on the Chiefs, it's closer for me to ugly than anything else. Because this is like the reason why they're in this position is for things that are uncharacteristic of what we have viewed the Chiefs in the past. They close out these types of games. When they're tied or even, a possession behind in the fourth quarter or late in the game, they find a way to make the winning play some way, somehow. Doesn't matter how much time's left. Doesn't matter the spot on the field they're on. Doesn't matter who has the ball. In most circumstances, they've been able to figure these situations out. And just in several spots this year, I go back to the Eagles game. I go back to the Jaguars game. And this one is kind of the latest example of a common theme. This year's team is just making way too many mistakes down the stretch that cost you. Whether it's a penalty by Juwan Taylor or a red zone interception by Patrick Mahomes, which doesn't show up as a red zone interception, by the way, because they were on the 21 and not the 20, but that's essentially what it was. Or just little stuff here and there that sets them back the slightest bit, and then they have no more margin for error, so that when 3rd and 15 happens and they need to get off the field, you also can't make that mistake either. You can't. That's also a bit on coaching, I think. You have to be in a better call than just rushing 3. So there's just several spots where you look and not everything has been up to snuff. And to me, that's ugly. It's less so bad, more so ugly from a team that we think is better than that.
Yeah, and it's ugly what it's done to the standings, because you're not only still out of a wild card berth as of now, but the division is looking like a lost cause with allowing Denver to gain that extra game on you. You still play them one more time, but there's a lot of ground to make up, and it does almost feel like you got to forget about the division, and that's a concession in and of itself. The Chiefs don't lose this division, so it's ugly what's going on right now. And yes, we talked yesterday. There's still time to fix it and end up where you usually end up if you're the Chiefs, but I don't know. We're going to find out over the latter half of the season if that's something they can achieve.
Look, the hope is that this is the low point, right? This is the valley, and that they keep rising up. Because look, if they make the playoffs, that probably means they won something like 6 out of the last 7 games, or heck, maybe they win out. I don't know. But that's, I think, what it's going to take in order to get into the postseason, even as the 7th seed. And if they are, they're the most dangerous 7 seed the NIL's ever had. I haven't had the 7 seed for that often, or for that long, we should say. And largely, the 7 has been a team that doesn't really deserve it. And I mean, you could say with the way the Chiefs played recently that they don't really deserve the 7 seed right now, and that's why they're not in the position to get it. But if they rattle off 6 of 7, or they rattle off 7 in a row, and they're riding high into the playoffs, all of a sudden the things can change. So, we'll see, but that does require it actually taking place, and we're projecting out, and we projected out a lot with this team this year, and the projection has not been all that accurate.
These playoffs could end up being so interesting because I get excited about thinking about all the big teams and the big quarterbacks and just the juggernauts that are, we're going to get to see them face each other. I'm not saying it's going to hold this way, but right now your division winners would be the Patriots, the Steelers, the Colts, and the Broncos. And then probably some of those teams that you think about as the blue bloods, the ones that are you're expecting to make a run to the Super Bowl. The wild cards could all three end up being, not saying I expect it, but it could be like the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. Like that could be something that happens, and then that would mean those types of teams and quarterbacks having to run through a gauntlet of road games to get to the Super Bowl. It can make for really interesting, where normally you dismiss the Steelers type teams, the Broncos type teams from being able to advance very far. But if they are holding home field throughout, that could be very compelling.
And look, it's all quarterbacks that are either young, unproven, or in the case of Aaron Rodgers, like it's been a while since he's been in this position, because he was marooned on the Jets for the last couple of years, and now all of a sudden he's in a spot where he's in a playoff game, and we know he's been dangerous there, but is he dangerous anymore? I don't know. So it is very compelling to see what could play out there. 573-875-KTGR if you want to give us your good, bad, and ugly from NFL Week 11. I know I still poo-pooed on the Broncos as a team yesterday.
You did.
A bit, for maybe just winning with mostly field goals and not many touchdowns. I will say this, though. Bo Nix had his best game ever. Would you agree with that? I think so.
I mean, he's had some couple of crazy games, but he was very good.
Considering the competition, though, I think this is his best.
In the circumstances, I think that's probably fair. I mean, he's had probably games with better numbers. He didn't have a touchdown pass, but given the circumstances, I think that was a notable performance from Bo Nix, and a good one. Obviously, he would go in the good category.
Yeah, because the Broncos, they were good enough on third down in these situations, and when they needed it most, like it seemed that he was getting the play that and putting it in the right spot where it needed to go. Chiefs could have put more pass rush on him, but he knew what to do at the time. He knew what to do with the space, and most quarterbacks don't know how to do that. And I think that's commendable for a guy like him. Does it mean that he jumps off that point and becomes one of the more dangerous quarterbacks in this league? I don't know. We'll see. You can obviously use it as one, but I just think it's notable that, yeah, even without a touchdown, I thought that was about as good as Bo Nix could play in this situation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He had a game against the Falcons last year, 28 of 33, 307 and 4, but they won 38-6. This was a game that was tight, and he had to your point, he had to play that well throughout the game to secure the win.
All right, who else is in the good? I think you gotta put the Bears there, right? Like, you gotta put them there. 7-3.
Yeah, man, that's impressive. And like the Vikings, I know their record isn't as strong, but they've had like the ability to put up some good defensive performances at times, and still pretty solid one. I mean, they limited Caleb Williams for the most part in this game, but the Bears defense against J.J. McCarthy, I thought, was more noticeable, because the first time you saw that matchup to begin the season, McCarthy looked completely lost, and then the second half he dominated in a come-from-behind effort. This time, the Bears did a nice job against McCarthy, and I don't know if McCarthy's good, bad, indifferent, but obviously that was a game that if you're the Bears and you're really interested in making the playoffs this year, getting to 7-3 was a huge step, and that was on the road that they did it against a divisional opponent. So yeah, you win ugly if 19-17 gets you that leg up when it comes to playoff standing.
And look, anyone trying to tear them down because the wins have come against, like, I mean, some of those teams like the Vikings, Giants, Bengals, Saints.
Doesn't matter.
Like, it's the NFL, man. Like,
ask the Colts if they care who they're racking up wins over. The Broncos before
right.
Broncos now have a couple of good wins, but yeah, the Patriots, they don't care. They're 9-2. Right. That's really all that matters.
Like that's all you get. They all get paid big bucks. They were all good enough to be drafted by NFL teams in mid-April, late April, whatever it is. And like you still have a whole lot more wins than a lot of those other teams. Now, look, schedule gets tougher. They have the Packers twice. They have the Eagles. They have the Niners. They have the Lions. Will it hold up? I don't know. But like, they can't apologize for where they're at. Like, they've done what they need to do. They've done what the Steelers should have done, is beat up on the first half of their schedule. build up that margin for error for when you have December hit and you have injuries hit and you have the cold hit. Like they've done what they need to do to withstand that and still most likely at least be in the mix for a playoff spot. That's all you can ask for, especially in year one of a new head coach.
Yeah, they'll have to win a couple of games that are going to be toughies for them, I think, down the stretch. But to start 7-3 is exactly where where they want to be and where they would need to be. So they're in the good for me. I'll name two teams that impressive wins by both the Rams and the Eagles. I think it was kind of a separator weekend for the NFC. And look, I think the Seahawks are still really good, but the Rams got that win over Seattle. And the Eagles, they dominated the Lions. I mean, it was a 16-9 game, another ugly one for the Eagles, but they're showing you what their defense is, over the last couple of weeks, and they did the same thing to the Packers. Eagles, man, I don't know if they're going to get that offense figured out to like really get rolling like they did toward last year's Super Bowl and ultimately winning it, but their defense is really coming into form, and that's hard to do against the Lions, although we do get to see now Detroit play a bunch of dome games and see how that works for them. But that's going to be a question. If Detroit has to go to Philadelphia at some point in a playoff atmosphere, like I saw what that can look like, and that Detroit offense they got beat.
It will be interesting to see how the Lions finish this out. Like, not a surefire playoff team today. Like,
what's their record?
They're 6-4. They're out today if it started today. So
yeah, I guess that's true.
Like,
man,
it's
a lot of parallels, Lions and Chiefs right now.
Yeah, I think so. I'd be interested to know what if you parlayed together the Lions and the Chiefs making the playoffs at this point right now. Like, it might be as good a value as you can hope for.
It's probably not going to be that profitable because I think you're right that, like we said yesterday, what's our percentage? Like, I don't know, 65, 70%.
Right.
The Chiefs are still probably going to make it. The Lions, I don't know. That it does make me curious to take a quick look and see, like, what's the belief about what they're ultimately going to do. I would bet it would be, even though the Lions have one extra win, we talked all about the breakdown. I would have thought the Lions would maybe be a little bit more dicey for playoff, but they're not according to the betting odds. Minus 425. So they're overwhelmingly favored to make the playoffs. We mentioned yesterday with the Chiefs, it was something like minus 185, and it's still sitting at that number.
Yeah. Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR with your good, bad, ugly from the NFL this weekend. James saying the Niners are in the good. The Falcons are in the bad. Yeah, it's just getting worse with Penix hurt. And the ugly, the Chargers. Were you surprised by that result, Brendan?
I was.
Yeah, man.
I thought the Jags could win it. I didn't think that it would be anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that passing game for the Chargers. It was just, Herbert played bad. None of their receivers really stood out. I don't know. That was a lopsided result. So much so that, when you're watching the Sunday Ticket or whatever, they took the game off and they gave us a different one.
Oh, yes.
In that local market. If you had that game on locally, they're like, we're getting rid of that, which was good because I want to get off the couch to change to my other TV. So I was like, all right, good. I can keep an eye on that game since they changed it because it was on locally. The Bills were on locally, but I ended up getting it on Sunday Ticket, which is that's like the cheat code, I guess.
Okay.
That you can't really control. So, but like for Jaguars fans, it was probably like, hey, I like watching them dominate, but then you literally can't watch it anywhere because if that local CBS says, hey, we're getting off this
I don't know
game,
if they do that rule in the actual local markets. Do they?
I don't.
In actual
I
Jacksonville?
don't think they do, but they've done it. I can only speak for like St. Louis. I want to say it's happened with Chiefs before, but probably not.
Yeah, and that's a little different because, yes, St. Louis, that's
it's not
their
a
only
Chiefs
team, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, I'd be interested to know if anybody in Kansas City or in a different NFL market, if they know.
Has had that happen.
Yeah.
Locally, the game that's your local team.
Right.
You're probably right. They wouldn't. I don't think they would have done it in Jacksonville. Maybe Los Angeles wouldn't have minded it. They said, give me anything else but this Chargers
because they're not
right
fans
now.
there anyway.
They don't care
San Diego,
in the first place.
They do care, but LA, no. Come on.
Nope. That was a weird one though. You're right, Andy. That I didn't see that one coming by that margin for sure.
Yeah, Jared saying the good Broncos win, the bad Andy's preseason, early season take on the Broncos.
There we go.
Yeah,
Call them out.
yeah.
Call them out, textures.
The ugly, all of the penalties on the Chiefs and the Broncos. Yeah, they had 10 each.
Yeah.
That was bad. Ugly. Yeah.
I am kind of straddling the line a little bit because I thought the Chiefs would win the division too, but you were a little more dismissive, I think, of really the Broncos and the Chargers. And my stance was like, I don't know which one could challenge, but either of them are in play to challenge the Chiefs. And have both of them passed the Chiefs?
Well, look, and here's the thing. I fully expect now for the Broncos to win the division. They could probably even be the 1 seed in the AFC. That's very much on the table for them. If the Chiefs make it as the 7th seed. And win that game against the 2, and then they go back to Denver.
I was trying to do some math on
that they are on.
Denver could be the 2. I mean, if the Patriots beat the Bills one more time, Patriots could be the 1. Like anything could happen with that. I'll tell you this right now. And when I said earlier you could get the Ravens in the mix at wild card as well, that's probably not right. I think they'll eventually pass up the Steelers. But if the Bills and Chiefs, I'll just say this right now, if the Bills and Chiefs are both in the wild card, they will be favored to win that first game.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of who they're playing, it'll be at Indianapolis, or it'll be at the Patriots, or it'll be at Denver. Both of those teams will be favorites in the divisional round of the playoffs, or what do they call it? The wild card round, whatever that is.
Yeah.
They will both be road favorites. I don't care what their seed or record is. I think that's a safe assumption.
And again, in the case of the Chiefs, if they're in that spot in the first place, that would mean that they were playing the way that they did against the Lions and against the other games that they won 10-7 this year.
10-7 could get them in, and that wouldn't necessarily mean that they're on top of the world, but it means they'd go 5 of their final 7 to get there, and that's a pretty good indicator that they're in a good spot.
Sure. And look, I'm just saying that the run that they would have to go on in order to be in the playoffs in the first place means that they're playing their best football at the absolute best time. And no matter where they go, they will be road favorites against any opponent that's the 2 or the 3 or whatever it is. So, it is interesting. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. If you want to give us your good and your bad and your ugly. Who was ugly? Who else this weekend? In the ugly category. I mean, everything coming out in Cleveland, I think, is just ugly.
But they were winning that game late against the Ravens. The Shadur Sanders stuff was, some of the Josina Anderson's got to stop tweeting. That was just bizarre. The ugly, the Bengals and Jamar Chase suspended for a game for spitting on a guy. And he said, he said, if I would have spit on him intentionally, I would have spit in his face. So that's my appeal. That was like his argument in the appeal of the 1-game suspension. I don't know if that's going to help him out necessarily. Here's a team that didn't lose by much, but I got it. The Falcons just find a different way to lose every single week, and this time it happens in overtime. The Falcons, it's ugly to me. It's not that it's embarrassing to lose to the Panthers. I think we're beyond that. The Panthers they're not a good team or a great team, but they're a middle of the road NFL team. They're 6-5 this year. Respect to what they've done, but the Falcons to drop their 5th straight game in the way that they did it, that's just pure ugly. And you lose Michael Penix for the year. I don't think he's the answer at the quarterback position anymore in Atlanta. I asked Will Carroll about that, and it feels like it's up in the air because he wasn't really playing that well to begin with. And you spent the 8th pick on him, and you signed Kirk Cousins to a Mondo deal just about a year and a half ago for both of those things happening. Andy, it feels like both of those are just not the answer for Atlanta. It's been ugly, and they're going to have to clean house with the coaching staff, I think, as well.
Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Yeah, it's ugly in Atlanta. On the Carolina side, though, they're half game out of that division. Half game. Only 1 loss behind the Bucs.
Yeah, the Bucs played at the Bills, and the Bills had to be motivated for this week, and they scored 44 points. Josh Allen was unbelievable. He dropped a 50 burger for me in fantasy. Needed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Bucs are still going to be the team to beat there, and the Panthers are respect to what they have done. I still don't know how convinced they are that they have the right quarterback. But Bryce Young had 440 passing yards.
Yeah,
he had more passing yards in this game almost than he did in the entire previous month, where he had maybe 500 total passing yards in 4 games prior. So he had a great game, and the Falcons should not have let it happen. They needed to win that one.
Yeah, the schedule's going to eat the
Panthers
up. I don't know how they ended up with the 49ers and the Rams late. And I'm sure the Bucs also played those teams, but they just did it earlier They play head-to-head still twice. They play week 16 and week 18 against the Bucks. And so, like, you just got to be close enough to where you get to those head-to-head matchups, and eventually that's where it's going to come down to. But it is notable to at least see what they could do there. And then my ugly, like, if kudos to you if you got up on Sunday morning and you watched the Spain game between the Commanders and the Dolphins.
So to be able to get that game on TV, like I've got some Amazon smart TVs, I got some Rokus. I can't figure out how to get with the subscriber login on the NFL app on an Amazon TV. Yeah. I can't get it up on the, I have the authority with the login and I can't get it to show me the game. They want me to do NFL Plus. On the Roku TV, it works. So I would have to kind of move a screen. I'd have to move it to this other room. I didn't even bother. I was like, I don't need to see this. I'm good.
This is way too much effort for the value of the football game.
Did it for the Colts game the previous week. Brought it up to the living. Yeah. I'm not even gonna bother. Nope. Don't care.
I don't blame you for that. If you watch that game in its entirety, God bless you. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. Give us your good, bad, and ugly from the weekend here, and we'll keep getting to your calls and texts on that and your comments. So keep giving them to us at 875-KTGR. In the meantime, we'll talk some Mizzou men's basketball and the update that Dennis Gates gave on his team's injuries. Plus, Mizzou wrestling coach Brian Smith joins us at 5:45 here on The Big Show.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
You like saving money, right? We all do. That's why Allstate just lowered the price of car insurance. But wait, there's a catch. Lower. Actually lower. So if you're shopping around or just want to see how much you could save, check Allstate first for a new lower auto rate that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Target brings more taste, more flavor, and more deals to your Thanksgiving table. Save big on affordable holiday crowd pleasers, like select elevated sides and appetizers from Good & Gather for only $4.99. Favorite day pies for a sweet finishing touch, also just $4.99. And don't forget, great tasting turkey for only 79 cents a pound. So many cravings, so many ways to save. Step into the holidays and elevate your Thanksgiving today. Only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. November is the month for giving thanks. But here's something we're not thankful for. Ground turkey. But seriously, have y'all ever tried to make a burger out of that meat? No matter what you do, it is dry. You know what you will be thankful for? Our famous Billiards burger. No turkey required.
Look at hometown for burgers and beer. Billiards! Home Broadway.
No turkey burgers were made in the making of this commercial.
It's the biggest savings event of the year. Menards, 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day. Save big money on everything you need for any project. We've got something for everyone. Homeowners, contractors, DIYers, the kids, and even grandma. Hurry, Menards 11% rebate ends Thanksgiving Day.
Save big money at Menards.
11% mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check. Good on future in-store purchases. See menards.com for details.
College football is all about the next generation. Fresh talent, big plays, new energy every season. That's the same approach behind Flight by Yingling. It's brewed by the oldest brewery in America, but built for today. Just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories with real beer flavor that keeps up from kickoff to the post-game recap. So whether you're tailgating or celebrating a win, make Flight your go-to. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
It's time for Black Friday, Dell Technologies' biggest sale of the year. Enjoy huge savings on select PCs like the Dell 16 Plus, featuring Intel Core Ultra processors. And with built-in advanced features, it's the PC that helps you do more, faster. Plus, earn Dell rewards and enjoy many other benefits, like free shipping, price match guarantee, and expert support. They also have huge deals on accessories that pair perfectly with your Dell PC and make perfect gifts for everyone on your list. Shop now at Dell.com/deals.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Give us your good, bad, ugly from NFL Week 11. 573-875 KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan. A quick note. Tonight, make sure you tune in. We'll have more Eli Drinkwitz comments on Tiger Talk tonight. 7 o'clock. Tune in on 105.1. 1580 and on the KTGR app for that. That'll follow an encore presentation of Chiefs Kingdom, which will start at 6. Mizzou women's basketball plays Southern Illinois tonight, 6:15. You can hear coverage of that beginning on 100.5 FM KTGR. But last night, Dennis Gates' group got another win against Prairie View A&M, 91-73. Tigers led by as many as 35 about midway through the second half, and then they let up off the gas when they knew they had the game in hand, essentially. But still come away with an 18-point win. Jacob Cruz was great, man. Like, that's the key thing, I think, from this game, is that you love the fact that even through a small sample size, he is shooting the freaking lights out from three, and he needed that. You certainly needed it last year. You're starting to see it now.
Yeah, he was good and clearly going to be playing a larger role this year. So good to see him kind of developing some of that consistency. You mentioned it kind of down the stretch. The guys let it get away a little bit. Like, they're playing very out of control. Teo Barrett, I would like to see a little bit more in control of what he's doing, but he's clearly second string behind Anthony Robinson, who's going to be, guiding the ship at the point guard position. And so Gates put some of those guys in that, we're going to get him some experience, and it ate him up a little bit. But yeah, the fact that you're up by 35 at some point allows you the luxury of doing that. And, again, you get the win. The Ken Pom bump or drop is not the end of the world.
Yeah, you can mask that once you play some better opponents here very soon, and we'll see how the Tigers do in that game. Now, another aspect from the game is that we once again did not see Honor Boateng or Trent Pierce or Trent Burns in the game. We did, however, see Honor Boateng and Trent Burns warming up beforehand, getting some shots up and things like that. Dennis Gates did update after the game on injuries within his team.
First of all, I'll say this. I listen to our doctors. I listen to the doctors and trainers and parents. We have to understand these are young men and they have parents. So I follow rules and regulations of parents and the importance of following internal doctors and our sports team. And they do a great job. Honor Boateng, barring no interruption, will be on minimal minutes next game. Okay. It was great to see him in practice. I'm glad he got a chance to warm up, and barring anything, any setbacks, he should be playing in minimal minutes. Trent Burns is the normal routine that we announced at the very beginning. He'll have a doctor's appointment, I believe, next week, and we'll see what the doctors say again. But great to see him out there warming up in a no contact. So that's no contacts. Warm-ups is no contacts, no defense. So he's been cleared no contact. However, he can't go 5-on-5 yet. Trent Pierce, I'm just waiting on doctor's updates just in terms of how he's feeling, different things like that. He has not practiced.
Okay, so that was Dennis Gates last night after the game, saying Honor Boateng should be out there next game, which is Thursday night against South Dakota. Minimal minutes, he said. Trent Burns can't go in contact yet, but can do everything non-contact wise. I think the stuff with Trent Pierce, like, it would seem, because he said before, like, that after the first game, like, yeah, we should get him back next game. And I could only think that the reason why we haven't seen him yet is because there was some sort of setback like for whatever injury he's dealing with. Again, we don't know, and we can only speculate, but I have to think that's the only explanation. Thought maybe he could go, but then something set him back between
some
games.
variety, something set him back between games. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. I'd be surprised if he plays
at all. Trent Pierce?
Yeah, mildly. I'd be mildly surprised if he plays this year. Is the point that I'm at with it. I could be wrong. I'm not like pounding the table about it. I just, at a certain point, you're like, all right, out of sight, out of mind. Hope he comes back. I like this game, but something tells me.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I think he's kind of a key piece this year. And so,
that's a concern then.
So, but I think that also, and yes, they will go through the protocol of making sure he's healthy and everything like that. But I think they need him back. And so, it could be different from different injury situations that maybe they've had in the past. So, I would say that once he's healthy enough, it could drag on, and it's hard to say for sure, but I think he's out there at least at some point this year. We're only 5 games in. There's 26 left. So that's kind of where I'm at.
It's just very weird that we'll talk with the doctors. It's like, well, can you tell us what the doctor said? And then maybe we can know. I don't think he said that this time, but there've been some of that. I think this was more of an update than we've been getting, because we all kind of complained about, would love some little breadcrumbs here about what's going on. And I think this was a more notable update than maybe we had gotten previously, but I'm still, when we do get those updates, Andy, like, okay, we saw the other two shooting. We got told that Boateng's going to play minimal minutes. Like, they're going to start to ease him back in is the expectation.
Yeah.
Here's a very detailed conversation about what's going on with Burns. Pierce isn't practicing.
Right.
So that's different than the other two. And so that's where my skepticism comes from. I don't know why he's not practicing, but that was a very short answer.
Like, if he
could have,
if there was a reason to be optimistic, then he probably would have said more about it.
Might have shared more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's kind of my stance.
No, and I get that. We'll see what it looks like afterwards. I mean, I think it could be fair to say, like, you certainly don't expect him back for non-con play, kind of the way that it sounds.
Yeah.
Because again, like, if you want him to get back to being the player that you expect him to be, then there will be some time that has to pass for him to make sure that he's practicing, getting to game shape and everything like that. And that could take even more time, even if he feels great. So that's a concern. I'm hopeful on Boateng, though. Like, if he gets the minimum minutes,
if Gates says he's going to play, even if it's 5 minutes, it's more than nothing.
Yeah.
The question is that going to be his role, or is he like he's playing minimally because he's only going to be a bit player on the team, or are they easy to give in? It'll take a few
I don't
games
know about that. Like, it's because they played him a lot in the exhibition and he looked very good.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not everything. You take everything with a grain of salt there, but it could be an indication of how they feel about him. He certainly showed the type of talent that he has and what he could potentially do. So I think it can be a ramp up. Like, if you if he plays in this game and then you've got 2 more mid-majors before you go on the road and play Notre Dame, and you could use that as a ramp for him so that he could potentially play
and help
a key role in that game like that. I think that's a fair path to maybe view for a guy like him.
That's a good goal, good target for his next couple of games. I hope he plays, 7-8 minutes. I'm not going to complain about the amount that he plays. I'll just be glad if he does end up getting back on the floor in the next game. That it matches kind of what we were told. So looking forward to getting to see him. Because like you said, exhibition, he looked like he could be a player for you.
And look, like on the Trent Burns stuff, like it's icing on the cake at this point, right?
Well,
like,
it could be some really tasty icing, but that is not weird yet, because we knew that this would last into November and maybe December. So I'm not dogging on the updates on that. Can I ask you something real quick on football?
Yeah.
Because it's not really a real quick question, but Matt did ask it on our socials. Could you educate me genuinely? How can they raise $250 million to add on to the stadium, but not allocate more toward NIL?
Well,
it's not an easy question to answer, but my thought is that 250, they said, hey, we're going forward with this. Not all that 250 had been accounted for when they started.
They're still raising money
They're
for it
still
now.
doing it. So that would be my best answer to Matt's legitimate question. It's fair. it's fair. And by the way, once they've gotten it built, it's built. NIL is a perpetual machine that you have to feed every year. Not that the 250 wasn't a big commitment, but they got enough of it to where they said, we're going to start this project. That doesn't mean they were sitting on the cash. It's not Scrooge McDuck gold in the bank vault. Like they're still raising money for that.
It is a fair question, but yeah, I think that's the best way to put it there. So we'll see if more of that comes. Thanks, Matt, for the question. 875-5847 if you want to call or text us. We have questions for Brian Smith, the Mizzou wrestling coach, after his team's performance in the National Duels Invitational in Tulsa. That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon, I'm Ben Hermas, and this live local sports center is brought to you by Lease Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lease sells it. LeaseTireCompany.com. Tigers head football coach Eli Drinkwitz addressed the media today regarding rumors that he may be leaving Mizzou for another coaching job. Amid these rumors, Coach Drinkwitz has been wanting to eliminate distractions surrounding this discussion.
I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand.
The Tigers will be back in action when they go on the road to take on Oklahoma this Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on KTGR. Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy was named a semifinalist for the 2025 Doak Walker National Running Back Award earlier today. Tigers' bell cow was one of 10 players to receive this honor, as it was announced by PwC Athletic Forum. Hardy currently leads the nation in rushing yards and has rushed for over 100 yards in 7 games this season. The 3 finalists for the award will be announced next Tuesday, November 25th. And Mizzou women's basketball returns to the hardwood tonight as they are set to host Southern Illinois. The Tigers currently sit at a record of 3-1 on the year, while the Salukis sit at a record of 1-1 on the season. Tip-off from Columbia is slated for 6:30. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is next.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a cooler night as we'll see increasing clouds. Temperatures drop down to about 44. Tomorrow, expect mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. Getting into Thursday, showers start to move in from the south. Temperatures make it to the low to mid 60s. Rain becomes widespread Thursday night into Friday. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Chiefs Kingdom lives here.
This is the Chiefs Kingdom.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Tune in every Monday night at 6 for the Chiefs Kingdom Show, hosted by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. Hear from head coach Andy Reid and your favorite Chiefs players all season long. After every game, enter the doors to the Chiefs Kingdom. Monday nights at 6, powered by Macadoodles, Steve's Pest Control, and your total sports station for all things Chiefs. KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. You need tree experts in your corner because, look, if you ever have an issue with your trees, like if one falls down, maybe one's hanging over a power line, something like that, I got news for you. Electric company is not going to do anything about that. And a lot of lawn services, it could be very hit and miss there. You need tree experts, and that's what you get with Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions. They serve Columbia, Fulton, and Jeff City, and there is no one better at finding out what is best for your trees and what is best for your specific situation in your front yard or backyard than Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions. So if you need tree pruning done, if you've got a dead tree that you need removed, or if you have some branches that are hanging over power lines and could be a safety issue, call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions. He is your man, and he'll get all of that work done at a fair price. Go get a free estimate at his website, advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend.
Psst, hey, Lenny. George, good to see you. Yeah, well, it ain't so good to see you, pal. I wish you'd kept quiet all those years. Family Pawn's got all the hunting gear people need to do exactly that. Bows, scopes, ammo, everything. Doing what, George? Look at you, mounted on the wall for everybody to see. Not gonna lie, George. I sort of like hanging around. Their fireplace feels real nice.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
I want to go to Family Fawn.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialists, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDEZIGNS.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Every now and then I rinse it out, and I need Downy rinse tonight, and I need it more. My king was the bed and the smell never leaves. I don't know what to do, I'm always in the dark. The sweat and dead short smells like a dog park. Downy rinse it tonight.
Downy Rinse fights stubborn odors in just one wash. When impossible odors get stuck in,
Rinse it out.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
At Hearing Aid Consultants, we are growing, and I couldn't be more excited. As a local family-owned business, our next hearing instrument specialist needed to be family too. I'm pleased to introduce you to my daughter-in-law, Lori.
Thanks, Kim. It's exciting to be part of the Hearing Aid Consultants family, and I can't wait to help individuals on their hearing journey.
Come see us in Jefferson City. Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. Andy Humphrey here. Mizzou Wrestling coming off a weekend in Tulsa at the National Duels. The Tigers go 2-3 over the weekend, facing some top competition across the National Wrestling landscape, and they finish 8th in the National Duels Invitational over in Tulsa. And here to talk all about it is Mizzou Wrestling head coach Brian Smith here on the KTGR hotline. And coach, with how you saw your group fare over the weekend, even though you lose the opening duel against Iowa, you still do well enough on that first day to advance to the second day. How did you see overall how your group worked through 5 different duels against all top 25 opponents?
Well, it's definitely a difficult weekend because every match is just tough. And we opened up with Iowa, who was the number 1 seed and ranked really high. I think they're ranked 3rd in the country. And the score shows we got beat pretty good, but every match, I think there was 2 or 3 overtime matches and a couple right down to the wire. I mean, it was a tough, hard battle, and we just fell on the short side. And so afterwards, I just talked with the guys and said, now we have Little Rock, who beat us last year, who's ranked in the top 25. We have to be prepared. It's, seeing how we respond from the Iowa duel was really important to this season, and they did. We went out and I think we won 8 of the 10 matches, and was really pleased to see our 25-pounder gets the pin to start the duel off, and that was big. That was really big for us.
Yeah, and certainly to have back-to-back wins like that because you're trying to advance to the next day and get more opportunities. So with all of that, knowing that it could have been a very lengthy weekend as it ended up being for your guys, how did you see them kind of prepare for that, again, knowing that they could be dealing with a bunch of obstacles along the way?
Well, you look at, we get the win. I think we wrestled at 9 a.m. and then at 3 o'clock against Little Rock. And then we had to wait a couple hours to see who we were going to wrestle. And it ends up being Michigan. They had a back and forth just battle with Nebraska, and Michigan's ranked like 11th in the country. So we're like, all right, here we go. We got Michigan now at 7 o'clock. We got to wrestle like we just did at Little Rock, come out with a lot of energy. And once again, my 25-pounder comes out and gets the pin. My 33-pounder comes back. He was, pretty much the first half of the match dominating, and gets put to his back. He's down by, some points, but scores a takedown, cuts him, and scores another takedown to win the match. And we even had to review it to make sure he got it. and then just went on and pretty much dominated Michigan, and our guys wrestled well. I was really pleased with the effort in that match. So that took us to the next day and meant we placed. But I was really pleased with that first day after really getting kicked in the teeth by Iowa and getting beat pretty good. We come back and beat 2 ranked teams.
For sure. Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And it got you to that next day where in your first duel, you're facing Minnesota, and there's a huge matchup for your redshirt freshman, Aiden Sinclair at 184. He's taking on the top-ranked guy there, Max McAnally, and he ends up beating him. How did you see not just him in that particular match, but it looked like a pretty good overall weekend for your redshirt freshman at 184 as well?
Yeah, I mean, he won. He lost to the Iowa kid who's ranked like 3rd or 4th in the country, and it went right to the ride-outs and double overtime. So to come back, he's wrestled Max McAnally, I think, from Minnesota at least 3-4 times in the summer to make the world teams, and beat him a couple times in the best of 3 and then would lose. And it was just frustrating losses that he had to him, and we beat him a couple times. So this being folk style, the regular season, we knew Aiden's tough there, and he showed it. But one of the things he worked on all summer was his riding ability, and he ends up riding him most of the third period, getting riding time and changing the match because the kid got out with 14 seconds, and we got the one takedown. That it was just a great match, 2 great opponents, but he stuck to his game plan, and Aiden sticks with it and gets the hard ride out and the takedown and wins the match. So it was a good win for him. It builds his confidence knowing that 184 is one of the deepest weights in the country, and I think we're ranked 9th. We'll probably move up, but there's a lot of good people there, and now he knows, he went out and beat the guy that was 3rd in the country last year and ranked number 1.
Yeah, pretty impressive already from the young man, and so we'll see what's more to come for him, and certainly for the rest of your group. And I know that there were several tight scores throughout this entire weekend for you, and going up against some really tough competition all throughout that. What kind of is we talked right before we started here that this was a point where you learned quite a bit about your group. So what do you hope that they kind of learned from it as they move forward after a pretty loaded weekend of competition for them?
Oh, I think it was good because we got to wrestle 4 Big Ten schools. And when you think about that, they're all pretty much top 10, except for Illinois was like 15th. Minnesota, we lost 15-14. And just, we split the match with them. I had my freshman throw his headgear down and lose a point. But I think we would have still lost the duel if it ended up tied. But it was one of those things that I think we walked away knowing we just stepped up with all these top 10 teams and battled toe-to-toe with them, that we got to get better. We know we can get better. And I think their confidence as a team that grew from this weekend, knowing that we took on the best in the country and we're not that far away from it and we can do better. And they know that. I think the trip home, that's one of the things they were talking about, that, just the opportunity they get next Monday with Illinois again, our last opponent. We've got to find a way to beat them. And there were a lot of tight matches that we could have won. So we're looking forward to it Monday night. That's the important thing, the mental side of coming out of it, that we battled, we got better as we battled, and we're hungry to get in the room and continue to work and get better.
Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR. Yeah, it is kind of ironic that the last team you wrestled in that Invitational just happens to be your next opponent in Illinois. Kind of an interesting the return trip that they'll come and visit you coming up next Monday night. And so as you saw how your individual wrestlers worked through that duel there, I'm sure obviously the motivation is there, but how do you work technically with them to make immediate adjustments to try and have the result go your way this time?
Yeah, we lost an overtime match that I know we can get back. We had a couple starters out for that match. So it's, just because they were so banged up, and so we gotta be healthy going into the duel, and we gotta win the tight matches. We lost a really tight one at 25, at 41, 49. We got to turn those matches around. So that's all it takes, is just winning a couple tight matches and going out. And if we can get bonus, I really thought we'd get bonus at one or two of them, and we didn't. So that's, in those duels, those are big points. If you can flip a match and then get a bonus point here or there, that's our mindset right now, and we're training for it.
For sure, and looking forward to it as Mizzou wrestling gets deeper into their season. But they finish in 8th place and take some prize money home as well from the National Duels Invitational in Tulsa, Oklahoma this past weekend after going 2-3 in their duels. Great to have Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling here on the Big Show KTGR to talk about the program. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time again today. Good luck on Monday night against Illinois, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Andy.
It's the Big Show on KTGR and the KTGR app. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Mizzou got $50,000 worth of prize money for their wrestling program for how they did. They placed in 8th and got to that amount of money. I believe the winner got around $250,000. That ended up being Ohio State, I believe. Overall, more than $1 million worth of prize money given out to those programs just for the sport of wrestling. That's a pretty big deal. And so good for Mizzou to be a part of that, and looking forward to them being back in action as they try to get revenge against Illinois at 6:30 next Monday night at the Hearn Center. That's your next chance to see Mizzou wrestling compete here in town. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks also to the injury expert, Will Carroll, for coming on and joining us too. If you're listening on 105.1 FM and 1580 AM and on the KTGR app, you'll hear last night's edition of Chiefs Kingdom coming up next, as well as Tiger Talk at 7 p.m. with Mizzou football coach Eli Drinkwitz and the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly. Flip on over to 100.5 FM if you'd like to hear coverage of Mizzou women's basketball. Tigers taking on Southern Illinois tonight at Mizzou Arena. Coverage begins at 6:15. Thanks for joining us on the Big Show today. We're back at 4 tomorrow. He's Brendan. He's producer Ben. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
At Fuse 32 Marketing, creativity isn't just encouraged, it's essential. We're growing as a marketing agency, which means we're ready to grow our team of social